There once was a very playful cat who loved nothing more than chasing butterflies in the meadow behind his house. But one day, while chasing a particularly beautiful specimen, he strayed a little too far from home and found himself lost in an unfamiliar part of the garden. The cat's name was Mittens, and he was a very adventurous kitty. He wasn't the kind of cat that was easily deterred by things like, like fences. In fact, fences were just like a mild suggestion to him, something to be climbed and jumped over, not something to be feared or respected. So when he found himself in a part of the garden he'd never seen before, he wasn't scared. He was excited. As the cat continued his adventure, he eventually came across a wooden ladder leaning against the side of the house. The cat looked up and down the ladder and then started to climb. He wasn't going anywhere in particular. He was just climbing for the sake of climbing. And as he reached the top of the ladder and looked around, he saw something that made his eyes pop out of his head. At the end of the garden, where the tall grass met the stone wall, there was a giant pool filled with colorful ice cream. It was at least 10 feet wide and just as high, and the flavors were all the cat's favorite. There was vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, even some exotic ones he'd never seen before, like pistachio and lavender. The cat had never seen so much ice cream in his life, and it was all just sitting there waiting to be eaten. The cat couldn't believe his luck. He thought about taking a nice big bite out of the ladder to celebrate, but then he had an even better idea. Why not take a running leap off the ladder and try to land in the ice cream? He could swim to shore and then gobble up all the ice cream. That would be an adventure. So, with a playful pounce, the cat launched himself off the ladder and into the air. For a moment, everything was still. The only sound was the buzzing of the butterflies in the meadow. Then, splat, the cat landed in the ice cream. The impact sent a shower of colorful sprinkles flying through the air like confetti. The cat emerged from the ice cream, shaking himself off and sending more splatters in all directions. But he wasn't quite where he wanted to be. He was in the middle of the pool, surrounded by a moat of strawberry shortcake and waffle cone. The cat looked around and realized that he was going to have to swim to get out. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and dove into the chocolate ice cream. It was rich and creamy and tasted even better than it smelled. The cat swam with all his might, churning the ice cream into a delicious foam. He paddled to the edge of the pool and hauled himself onto the stone wall, dripping ice cream down his back. Then he turned to face the rest of the pool, a giant mountain of waffle cone, pistachio, and lavender. The cat meowed in delight and started to climb, but the ice cream was too slippery and his paws kept losing their grip. He slid down the side of the pool and landed in a heap at the bottom. The cat shook himself off again, sending more ice cream flying, and stood up to face the mountain once more. This time he took a different approach. He started to eat his way through the ice cream, crunching and licking until he reached the top. And there it was, a single scoop of vanilla ice cream, just waiting for him to eat it. The cat took a big bite and purred with pleasure. It was the best ice cream he'd ever tasted. And so, my friends, if you ever find yourself lost in a garden, just follow your nose and you're sure to find an adventure. Just be careful not to fall in any pools of ice cream. It can happen to anyone, even a clever, quick-witted cat like Mittens. But luckily for Mittens, he had a great sense of humor about it. Or maybe he just didn't know any better. Either way, he got the adventure of a lifetime out of it and a belly full of delicious ice cream. And that's all any cat could ask for. The end.